The god Thor was wandering around. Thor was a very powerful god. He was the god of thunder. He had an arch-enemy, his half-brother, Loki. Thor was big in stature. Loki was skinny and wily. A trickster was Loki, and he would often irritate and annoy Thor, and then they would get into a thunderous fight. The lightning, the thunder rolled, but back into their respective corners of the land of the gods did they go. From their high perch, they looked down upon the Isle of Wight, and there they saw a small dwarf, as dwarfs often are. This dwarf was carrying a magical hammer forged from meteorites. Loki looked at this hammer and he wanted it. Thor looked at the hammer and he wanted it too. But for the moment, it was in the hands of the small dwarf. Loki decided he was going to descend from the land of the gods, and he was going to come down to the Isle of Wight to have the hammer for his own. So he summoned the Rainbow Bridge.